If the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice. Meister Eckhart. Hello, and welcome to the Badger Talks podcast, the podcast that shares interviews with experts from the University of Wisconsin-Madison community about their work, research, and a little bit about what they're like as people, too. I'm your host, Buzz Kemper. Today, we're focusing on gratitude and thankfulness, and I'm happy to have as my guest Bob McGrath, Emeritus Psychologist at UW-Madison. So, Bob McGrath, you are Emeritus Psychologist at UW-Madison, which means you are retired, but you still get to do some things, and you probably get to do mostly the things that you enjoy doing or that you find gratifying.
Exactly. Enjoy doing, yes, and doing. I lead a meditation group, and I do talks around the state, and I like that as something to do. Officially, not that it makes a difference, but as I had to come up with a decision, do I maintain my psychology license? And what I've maintained is I can't do clinical practice because I don't do that 30 hours of or 40 hours of continuing education, but I'm still doing other psychology, meeting people and connecting around the state.
Yeah, and you're concentrating on the positive side, which is great. This is the month of Thanksgiving, and I think that we as humans tend to concentrate on the things that aren't going so well in our lives, and maybe we can get a little bit negative about that. But at least in this month of Thanksgiving, and hopefully we can carry this into the other months as well, it seems like it's a good idea to be able to focus on what we should be thankful for, what we should feel gratitude about. And I'd like to start by asking you, how did you get interested in gratitude and its benefits?
Well, it's been a number of years. Somewhere about 17, 18 years ago, I was at a conference, and one of the keynote speaker was Bob Emmons. And he's one of these psychologists that doesn't dabble on this area and that area. His whole career is on gratitude. And it started, and what he typically would do is, he had different groups. One kept a gratitude journal, just ending your day, or he says do it whenever you want during the day, but keeping a little list of what you appreciated and were thankful for in the day. And then the other group was the hassles group. So nice keeping name. Their annoyances. Someone told me, and I don't know, you might have to delete this, but it's like calling it a bitchin' journal. So you make a decision. You want to keep a hassles journal, bitchin' journal, or a gratitude journal. And it turns out very striking. Actually, the hassles journal, their mood improves a little bit. But the gratitude journal, it doesn't just improve a little bit. The list of benefits, their optimism goes up. They start exercising more. Wait a minute, keeping a gratitude journal makes you exercise? No, but it prompts it. It just, your mood goes up. They feel better physically and about their lives in general. Relieves stress, depression, helps cope with illness. One of the Bob Emmons studies is working with people that are actually in the hospital. And, it's like, how do you focus on gratitude then? It's like, you're still alive and you're still, recovering, et cetera. And again, for them, high, positive moods, greater sense of well-being, sense of feeling connected with others, better sleep, boosts happiness by 25%. So it just, the benefits go on and on and on, get along better with others. So start achieving more. And for students, and again, he's done a nice range of studies from high school students, college students, and so on. Grades improve. People start exercising more. It's like just by keeping a gratitude journal. So my focus in my last part of my career was on mind-body wellness, and this certainly qualifies as a major part of mind and body wellness, is just keeping a gratitude journal.
And you lead meditation classes. So is this part of that when you lead a meditation course? Do you concentrate on having people think about things for which they feel grateful, or is that a separate thing that you don't really cross the two?
No, I sometimes end up with that, but also as we're coming up on a certain month here, there is a gratitude meditation that just going through parts of your body. I mean, so just imagine here, we won't go through it, but just think about your hand. And are you grateful for your hand? It's like, well, think about it. Yes, just think of all that your hands do for you. Everything from brushing your teeth to combing your hair to putting food in your mouth. And so it goes on, and so there's all that be thankful about for your hand. And then, thinking about your eyes and all that we, value with what we can do with our eyes, seeing beauty. And, it's been a beautiful spring or fall here.
Yes.
That feels like spring.
Yeah,
but
it
a
does.
beautiful fall then. Mouth, it's like, oh, how important is that?
Yeah,
right. In terms of what we do, we talk. Oh, wait, we're talking.
Yeah, yes.
With our mouth.
Yeah.
We also put food in our mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thinking about it, that specifically is really revealing. Now, as a psychologist, it seems to me, as a non-psychologist, that people have a tendency to focus on the negative things, to focus on what's not right with their lives. Is that just my impression, or is that how you experience people as well? And if so, how do you get people to turn that around and start thinking about the positives? Yeah.
And there definitely is, unfortunately, an inclination, and partially is that a protective thing, but it's like, and one of the area of psychology that I'm in, it's called positive psychology. It's just been for the last 20 plus years or so. And one of the little prompts for it, was this. Martin Seligman is a psychologist, and his whole focus was on depression, learned helplessness, how you basically, everything goes wrong and you just at some point punt, and that's a depression. It's like, why bother? But he was out in the yard with his daughter and sort of complaining about something, and she said, "Daddy, why are you grumpy all the time?" And supposedly that woke him up to not being, the benefit of being negative. There ain't any benefit. So being positive. And so he got moving, and the whole positive psychology movement started. Paying attention to positive things rather than negative. How to have good relationships. How to, eat well, sleep well, exercise, take care of your body. And again, how to be grateful. And that's a really core. And it's striking how just keeping a gratitude journal. Over the years, I always make a little joke that it's like, when I was teaching classes, I gave homework. And it's like, well, now when I'm doing talks, it's like, well, it's not a homework assignment. It's now a homework suggestion. And the suggestion is, why not? Keep a gratitude journal. The benefits of keeping a gratitude journal aren't minimal. They're like a page long. There's too long for me to remember all. I could list them sort of for you, but they're just striking how just keeping a gratitude journal. And I think it's a wonderful way to end the day. Bob Emmons, the fellow I mentioned that sort of started the whole gratitude focus, and again, he didn't start it, but has started researching it in a way that, he'll say, keep that gratitude journal whenever. And I think there's something about doing it at the end of the evening, just wrapping your day up. What a way to go to bed with a positive instead of, what do I have to do tomorrow? What went wrong today? Bingo. And just sort of being appreciative of your day. And again, it's a pretty easy thing to do. And the gratitude journal, bingo, has incredible benefits.
And I assume that you do this as well, since you're such an advocate of it. Do you have a gratitude journal?
I've kept it from that time that I went to the Bob Emmons talk.
Wow.
I have so many, not just a gratitude journal. There's about 7 or 8 of them now in a pile.
Yeah.
There's something that's like, well, should I toss these? No. There's something valuable about, and I can flip back and say, oh, yeah, back 3 years ago, this is something that I really enjoyed, and so on. And there's a nice variation. Some will say, just do it once a week even, and just think, what are the 5 high points of the week that I'm thankful for? But I really personally think, why not? It takes a good 1.5 to 2 minutes at the end of the day to end it on a positive note about what did I appreciate about today? What am I thankful for?
It's a great idea. I think I'm going to try it. I'm going to try
Great.
it. And I have. It's funny. I have a very narrow version of it, which is one of my hobbies is rock climbing, technical rock climbing, and I have The Climber's Guide to Devil's Lake, which is a thick book with descriptions of all the climbs in it. And one thing I started doing about 15 years ago is when I do a climb with a friend, I will have them write their name next to the description of the climb and then write a sentence about how they felt about it. And that has been kind of a gratitude journal for me, because I look back 5 years later and say, oh, I remember that day I went up there with my friend Amanda, and she did great, and we had such a good time. And so I do see the benefits of that.
And it sounds like you feel grateful that you have that capacity to rock climb.
Yes.
And it's like,
yeah,
and again,
I'm 67 years old. I'm glad I can walk, and so the fact that I can go, climb a rock, I definitely feel gratitude for that. Do you, in your emeritus position, what other work do you do besides the meditation class?
I give talks around the state.
Okay.
The topic typically is living with vitality. And so. And one of the top points, I can tell you 2 or 3 of the main points, but number 4 is gratitude. Yeah. But number 1 is being with others, connecting with others, and doing for others. That it is real striking that relationships are crucial, but then when you're doing for others, it's even better. And so just having that on and you get to write that in the gratitude journal. Oh, what I did for someone today, even if it's just something as minor as an aunt, whenever she took a walk, she picked up the trash that people had left.
Yes.
And what a wonderful act of kindness. And again, I feel grateful that she did it and taught me how to do that. Yeah. And then the other important point, breathing. And again, we can all be thankful. You can't, if you're not breathing, it gets harder to be thankful. But and that you can, and there's some variation, or some say, oh, you don't want to alter your breathing at all. Now there's it's like, do these different kind of breathing things, and just being, if you're doing a breathing exercise, how easy to be grateful. I am breathing, and I can alter my breathing, and that calms me down and wakes me up in certain ways. So I don't know if you've heard of some of the different breathing things, 4, 7, 8 breathing, or 5, 10, where you're breathing in to count of 4, pausing to count of 7, exhaling forcibly out your mouth to the count of 8, or 5, 10. It's just in to 5, out to 10. And there's a list of 5 or 10 different alternate breathing, alternate nostril breathing, and
I've taken enough yoga classes to be familiar with some of these.
Great.
Your lecture series is called Living with Vitality, and it sounds like you've really keyed in on some very important tools that people can use to just be happier, be more active, and just be more engaged in life, and to make their lives, to direct their lives, rather than feeling like their lives are being kind of pushed around by various, negative factors. Bob, is there anything that you'd like to say, but maybe I haven't asked the right question for it?
The other, besides a gratitude journal, which is strongly, and one of the things that, I have to admit, I don't quite follow up as much, but the idea of a thank you note to someone, that just reflecting and thinking, who's someone that I've said thanks plenty to, but somehow just incorporating that thanks into a nice note, and not sending it, but arranging a time and reading it to them. It just, yes, it has a great impact, and it really, and if they're way out of town, just sending, and it can be a nice surprise, rather than thank you note for a present, but which just thanking them for their part in your life, and again writing it out, and if possible at all, reading it to them, and the promotion is maybe 2 a year. But there's no limit. You can,
right. That's.
I suppose it would lose some of its effect if you started doing that all the time. And,
right.
But it's interesting. Gratitude thank you notes have become, let's say, somewhat routine.
Well, physical thank you notes are not so routine, and I've noticed that people send emails now or texts.
Yes,
and I've noticed that when I do a big, I do some voiceover work, and if I do a big voiceover job for a company, I will send physical thank you notes, and they really cherish those because it's a thing you actually get in the mail, you can physically open, and it's not. It doesn't just exist, in the cyber world. It actually is a physical thing. And so, I think that is a really worthwhile thing to do. Terrific. Bob McGrath, emeritus psychologist at UW-Madison, and you've shown us a lot here about the benefits of gratitude and being thankful. And hopefully, even though this is the month where we celebrate Thanksgiving, hopefully we can carry these things into the other months as well, and maybe we'll all be a little bit happier.
Ben, thanks for including me in this discussion.
You've been listening to the Badger Talks podcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with UW-Madison emeritus psychologist Bob McGrath. Please browse our previous episodes for other topics that may be of interest to you. The Badger Talks podcast is a creation of UW Connects and produced at Audio for the Arts Recording Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. Our music is composed by Bill Purdy and performed by the UW Marching Band. I'm Buzz Kemper. Thank you for listening.